This skull crochet looks intricate, but once you break it down, it's a fun pattern to make. In this tutorial, I'll walk you through the stitches step by step so you can crochet the skull by itself and use it as an applique for bags, sweaters, or Halloween projects. Then we'll take that skull and transform it into a granny square for edgy blankets, pillows, or those spooky projects. Let's get started. You will need 2 colors of yarn, scissors, of course your crochet hook. I also have a tapestry needle, but you can use your hook to weave in your ends. And I always have some stitch markers handy, or safety pins work just as well. I will be using a magic ring today, but feel free to do 4 to 6 chains and slip stitch those together to make your ring. All right, we're going to start with 3 chains. Now this will count as our first double crochet. Then I will be putting another 11 stitches, so 11 double crochets into my ring to get a total with that chain of 3 of 12 double crochets. So 1 chain of 3 and 11 double crochets, and I will finish that up, and then we will move on to our next stitches. After we have our chain of 3 and then 11 extra double crochets, so 12 stitches, we will chain 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, then put another double crochet into our ring, chain 6 more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, another double crochet into our ring, chain another 6, 4, 5, 6, and then slip stitch right into the top of those 3 chains that we did. Then I'm going to tighten up my magic ring and we'll move on. Now we are going to finish working up here on the top of our skull. To do that, we are going to chain 3, and then in that same spot I want you to do a double crochet. Now in the next 3 we are going to do 1 double crochet, 1, 2, and 3. Then we are going to increase and do 2 double crochets, 1, 2, and in the next one 2 double crochets. Now 2 more of them. We are going to do 2 double crochets. So 1, 2, and in this one 1, 2. Then we are going to do 3 with just 1. So that's 1 in the next one, 1, and 1. And in that final one of the top of the skull, we're going to put 2 double crochets. Now, if we did it right, we should have 18 stitches along the top. So I'm going to double check that, and then we'll get on to the eye. Now we are going to work the first eye, which is very simple. You just want to do 5 single crochets wrapping around that chain that you created. So there's 3, there's 4, and there's 5. And then into the nose, we need to do the jaw. So we're going to start with a double crochet into the jaw opening, And then we are going to do 6 treble crochets. So that's where you wrap around twice on your hook. So it's a little bit longer. We're going to do 6 of those. That's 2. Three, 4, 5, and 6. And then we are going to end with a double crochet. So we've got 8 stitches in the jaw. And then we're going to finish off this eye the same as the other one, and we're going to put 5 single crochets into this eye. And then of course we will slip stitch into the top of that chain 3 from the beginning, and this time we are going to tie it off so that we can move to the next color. Here is what your finished skull will look like. It would work great for an applique at this point, but if you want to change it into a square, we are going to move forward and do that. In order to do that, we need to identify some key stitches. The first one is we want to, and I'm just going to put a stitch marker there, right on that first single crochet that goes in the eye. I just want to mark that, and I'll show you why. I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches, and then I'm going to just mark this other one. This is where we are going to tie into right here, because we are going to fill in this gap before we start to make our square. Before we go on, I want to show you a slight difference. I will be working in back loop only today, so that will give a bit of a border around the skull. If you don't want to work back loop only, this is what it'll look like, and that's where you go through both loops of the previous round. So pick the effect that you like, and let's move forward. I have tied into the back loop only of that jaw stitch, and our first stitch once again is going to be 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. We're going to follow that in the next stitch with a half double crochet. And then we are just going to do single crochets all the way around until we get to the stitch right before the other jaw location that we marked earlier. So just continue to go around with single crochets, and I will meet you over here. All right, I've worked my single crochets all the way around, and I'm going to continue around that eye until I get to that stitch right before that jaw. There I am going to do a half double crochet, and right in that corner I am going to do a double crochet. Then I'm going to do 1 more double crochet, followed by a half double crochet, now I'm going to do 4 single crochets along the bottom, so 4 single crochets now along the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now in the last 2, first one, I'm going to do a half double crochet, and the next one, right in that corner again, is where we put a double crochet. Then I will slip stitch into the top of that first chain 3. Once again, we are going to start with a chain 3, and this is going to be our first half of the corner. The other half we'll do when we come around. Now I'm going to work in that same spot 2 more double crochets. 1, 2. Then I am going to, and I'm working regular now, I'm not working in back loop only. I'm going to do 8 double crochets till I get to that next corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this is where we're going to do our first full corner, which will be 3 double crochets, and I like my corners to be tight, so I'm just going to do 1 chain, and in that same spot I'm going to do 3 more double crochets. And that is our first corner. And then we are going to proceed to do another 8 double crochets, 1 in each stitch. Till we get over to that corner.
Continue with your 8 stitches along the side and your corners, and I will see you on the final edge to complete this row.
So we have 8 more double crochets to get through. And then I'll show you how to finish off your corner that you half started at the beginning of this round. And we will have our square made. There's 7, there's 8. Now my 9th, of course, is my corner, so I am going to double crochet into that same spot that we started at, double crochet 3, chain 1, and then I'm going to connect that into the top of that chain with a slip stitch.
And here is our final skull granny square. I hope you enjoyed this project today. Thank you for watching, and just remember, always keep creating.